Welcome and thank you for being here. I'm Joe Ruzan. I have the privilege of serving as the president of Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation. I'm so honored that VSEDC is the host for this important reception today in partnership with SBA and Operation Hope to kick off the nationwide small business campaign of 1 million Black-owned businesses by 2030. Not only does our neighborhood represent the very businesses you serve, but we share the same goals as SBA and Operation Hope to empower small businesses and entrepreneurs through access to capital, education, business assistance, partnerships, and technology. At VSEDC, we support our local businesses, most of which are minority-owned, disabled veterans, and women-owned businesses. Our one-on-one business coaching and assistance is why we are now the recipient of 2 City of Los Angeles Business Source contracts. Thank you, Mayor Garcetti. Thank you, Ms. Hull. We serve not only South Los Angeles, but I'm happy to say, even in my years with the City of Los Angeles, we fought hard to bring Watts their own regional business source center. And thank you, Ms. Hull, and thank you, Mayor, that Vermont Slauson is privileged to serve Watts now, specifically as a business source center. Can you believe there was no CDFI presence in South LA? That all changed in 2018 when VSEDC was awarded the highly coveted certification and designation through the U.S. Treasury Department as a community development financial institution. That's the good news. The not so good news is VSEDC is the only South LA CDFI directly serving small businesses in South LA and Watts. To date, we have infused just shy of over $1 million into South LA businesses and the economy through our CDFI loan program. I'd like to recognize my CDFI loan director, Namush Sokum. Where are you, Namush? And I'm even more proud to say that 61% of the loans that we have made, that nearly 1 million, have gone to women-owned businesses. 39% of those businesses or loans were made to men. 70% of those business owners were Black, and 17% of those business owners were Hispanic. And finally, 74% of these business loans were microloans from $5,000 to $50,000. That may not seem much to many, but that means a whole lot to a small business. And 26% of those loans were what we call our traditional loans, which are $50,000 to $250,000. We have launched 2 new technology centers that will help bridge the digital divide in South Los Angeles and Watts. Just recently, and I know, Mayor, you were there, we opened up our multi-million-dollar technology center at 6109 South Western Avenue. That's right, in the heart of Watts, in a partnership with Best Buy and an Annenberg Foundation. At that center, we'll be teaching our kids and young adults coding, cybersecurity, drones, digital animation, digital photography, and my personal favorite, we have a state-of-the-art sound and recording studio that would marvel anyone in that industry. With the support of AT&T, we'll now be opening our Connected Learning Center in mid-October. At VSEDC, we don't believe technology is of the future, but rather now. We must equip our future generation with the technical skills for meaningful and self-sustaining careers for business ownership. So let's get this show on the road. Today, joining us, we have folks that have long supported small business. You've heard me say his name once or twice, obviously Mayor Garcetti. We have Councilmember and my friend of the 9th District, Curren Price. We have our SBA Administrator, Isabella Guzman. And last but certainly not least is John Hope Bryant, the founder and chairman and CEO of Operation Hope. I am honored to introduce our first speaker, Mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti. The mayor and I share some of the same public lineage, as both our fathers served in public service. Gil Garcetti as the district attorney for LA County, and my dad, who I'm most proud of, who was one of the first African-American command officers on the Los Angeles Police Department. Please help me welcome our 42nd mayor, Eric Garcetti.
Let's give it up for Joe. He deserves a round of applause for the extraordinary human being that you are and leader that you are. Even if you didn't have some of my best friends here, I would have said yes. When you call, we are there. And what a joy it is to welcome back to her hometown here, Isabel Guzman, who we are so proud of, leading not just small businesses. She has to be very equal to everyone, but we know that Los Angeles is a special place in her heart, and we always love you having you back here. And thank you for what you do on behalf of this administration that has had the strongest job growth of any administration in recent history. That is, to me, a really hopeful sign. And John Hope Bryant, who's been one of my mentors, friends, I don't know, add whatever superlatives. This is also your home. I know you live in Atlanta, but this is your home. So welcome home, too, and thank you. You and Lance, the entire team, always do such extraordinary work here. Last, we marked the anniversary of the LA riots, the uprising, the unrest, right there in the heart of South LA, to see what progress we've made and how far we still have to go, and you are helping us get to that mountaintop, so thank you. And a special thanks to my dear friend and brother, Curren, who I love serving with at City Hall. We both got our vaccinations yesterday. He let me give him the vaccination yesterday, so if he's a little sore, it was not personal. I tried to be as delicate as I could because you do such extraordinary work, whether it's on basic income, redevelopment. And look across the street right now. I want everybody to see this project, which Metro and the city of Los Angeles has taken old, decrepit train tracks that will now be the most beautiful bikeway, walkway, parkway that'll go from rail to rail all the way to the river eventually, is really a sign of a Los Angeles rising again. It's leading in job creation of all the big cities in America, leading in wealth building in all the big cities in America, raised the minimum wage and saw black and brown incomes increase by 44% and 43% respectively, while the country only went up by 27%. We've got a lot of work still to do, but this is a good place to be with this group here today. And it all starts with a small business. This initiative is necessary. We didn't take to the streets 2 years ago to forget about racism today. We have to be ongoing, intentional, and we have to see through that racial justice isn't just a march one day. It is a cause for our lives. For me, the business that took me here today as your mayor started with two small businesses. My grandparents, tailors and seamstresses, and another one who was a barber, but whose wife ran the shop with him, so she was a small businesswoman too. Here in South LA, made it possible for me to be here today. But as we know, in a city where Mexican and black families don't have a 10% wealth of a white family, but 1%. Let me spell that out. In America, black families, as we know, usually have a tenth the wealth of a white family. Here in Los Angeles, black and brown families have 1/100. It's a 100-to-1 ratio. We have our work cut out. But the work that you are doing here is absolutely critical every single day, whether it's, by the way, the sidewalk vending program, which we appreciate getting more black vendors who can start on a sidewalk and then get into bricks and mortars. We've got a yeah from somebody who's working on it there. You've been a pivotal partner of taking advantage of so much. And I want to thank Administrator Guzman for co-hosting this, because to show the private, the community, and public partnership here at all levels of both local and federal is so important. And we've had a champion in Councilmember Price in making sure that we speak about economic justice, that we actually say the words of those gaps, that we bring the largest guaranteed basic income program in the country right now that's giving families $1,000 a month so maybe somebody can become an entrepreneur, so somebody can open a business, can be home to help their daughter with her homework instead of working a second job. These are game changers that you have been such a strong ally. But I especially want to applaud you, John Hope Bryant. The 1 million, you never think about things small. And I love this because I won't be mayor, so I don't get blamed if we're not at 1 million. But you're still going to be around, and I know you see things through, whether the administration is Republican or Democratic, whether it's a nonpartisan, a local, a state leader. You really know how to build alliances. And we need 1 million small black businesses in America. And we need those small black businesses to become medium black businesses. And we need those medium ones to become large black businesses. And we need black businesses and brown businesses and women-owned businesses and veteran-owned businesses, not just to be used to get contracts, but actually to be rewarded as the primes for contracts. And make sure that they show up when the money is spent, not just when the application is put in. So we know that this work makes a difference. In fact, the Kauffman Foundation titled a study, Starting Financing Trends by Race, How Access to Capital Impacts Profitability. And as we look at black and brown businesses, it said Latino entrepreneurs, for instance, look to their family and friends before they go to banks because we're underbanked. African American entrepreneurs often use credit cards because they're underbanked, whereas Caucasian entrepreneurs go to the bank and get their capital. So these trends have to change, so it's not the color of your skin or the language that your parents speak that provides you with access to capital, it's the brilliance of your idea and your willingness to work hard for it. So we know that in the study that black entrepreneurs in particular are 3 times more likely than white entrepreneurs to have their profitability hurt because of this lack of access, and twice as likely as white entrepreneurs to have their profits negatively impacted by the cost of capital. So then when they get capital, it's more expensive. And when asked for reasons for not seeking capital, almost 60% of black entrepreneurs said they didn't think they'd be approved by a lender. That doesn't come from just a feeling, it comes from real life experience. When over 88% of black-owned businesses are one-person shops, the alliance created by SBA and Operation Hope, the services provided by business source centers like Vermont Slauson, and the initiatives that are target focusing on supporting specific communities are crucial to advancing equity, to taking a slogan to actual results. In the city of LA, we look to see what we could do to prevent more black entrepreneurs from paying more for capital when they need to open and grow their business. And we learned what John already knew, that financial literacy was the key to understanding that, to getting to financial health and success. That's why together, Carolyn Hull, who needs to stand up also and get a round of applause. Please stand up, Carolyn, who heads up our Economic Workforce and Development Department. We launched a partnership with Money Management International to provide free credit counseling, because sometimes it's not as bad as you might think. And we can help you, especially with free assistance, whether it's bad credit or you're just learning how to budget, regardless of whether you own a budget or a business, or not, we are here to help you for free. It's a pretty good price. And there's one-on-one help to grow your business. Our 10 business source centers that we're allied, and Watts is not South LA, and South LA is not Watts. It's good that we're in both places. Some candidates don't know that, always. But the city has small business incubators that will speak your language, that come from your people, and that understand the struggles that you go through. So we are so excited. We want LA, we know we're just launching the tour, but we want LA to exceed the numbers and help take you through the ticker tape at the end to make sure that the work that we're doing, whether it's in the entertainment industry with the Annenberg Foundation to get more black and brown faces in front of and behind the cameras to be the shot callers in the business, or whether it's Pledge LA, which I invite you all to become a part of if you're a tech company. Tech companies pledging to hire black and brown Angelinos and also to make sure that they invest with them as well. So, muchísimas gracias a todos, brevemente en español. Este es un gran día. This is just for you, Johnny. Un gran día para asistir todos los negociantes en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Y esta meta es una meta increíble. Y gracias a Juan Esperanza Bryant, por su visión y la visión de nuestra administradora de Administración de Negocios Pequeños en los Estados Unidos, Isabel Guzmán. And with that, let's get the job done, and thank you so much. It's an honor to serve alongside you. I got 87 days, but I'm going to enjoy every last one. Thank you.
Gracias, Mayor Garcetti. Our next speaker, I mentioned, is a very good friend of mine. You determine how old you are when you start thinking about how long you've known people. And I think Curren and I first met when he was on the city council in Inglewood. And my dad, I think, was the city manager at the time. So that's got to be 30 years ago plus, years ago. But I just got to tell you, Council District 9, of all the districts, I got to just tell you, we pick up the phone, we ask for Mike Castillo, we get it done. The council member blesses it, and we have a seamless relationship. And that's deeply appreciated. With that being said, I'd like to bring up the council member for the 9th District, Curren Price.
Thank you, Joe. Let's give it up to Joe again. And the real leadership of the officers, members, and friends of Vermont Slauson EDC. Really one of our legacy organizations, right? Legacy organizations. In fact, inspired and encouraged by Mayor Bradley back in the day with a lot of help, a lot of encouragement. But we just appreciate the unique role that Vermont Slauson EDC plays and continues to play, Reverend Boyd. They really have set the standard, and we appreciate it. Also, obviously, a shout out to our existing mayor, our present mayor, who not only is a shot caller, but he's a shot giver. Yes, I got my COVID shot from him yesterday. We won't provide all the details, just say that my arm is just a little sore, it hasn't fallen off, and so far so good. And after all, if he can marry somebody, he should be able to give somebody a shot, right? But thank you, Mayor. To our Administrator Guzman, we are honored with your presence again today. Yes, let's give it up for her again. We appreciate her. We appreciate Brother Parker. We can't see the with him. Thank goodness. I mean, he's here, there, he's back again, but always on the job. And so we appreciate you very much. And of course, all praises to John Bryant and Lance and the Operation Hope team. In fact, I think, John, you got inspired by Tom Bradley too, didn't you, back in the day? Huh? That's you started. So, you know, things come around, go around. But we're just excited to welcome you to the new ninth, where we are trying to make things happen and make things better. I know I want to just thank you all for your combined help, your combined commitment to making a difference, especially with our small businesses. You know, like some of you, I was an entrepreneur before my political days. Had a small little print shop in Inglewood, PDQ printers. And I was going to take over Kinko's at the time. It didn't really work that way, Joe. You know, because, you know, without a business plan, without financing, I did what most businesses do in about 4 or 5 years. What was that? Went out of business, right? But certainly helped to provide me with understanding, resources, a commitment to do all I could to help businesses, entrepreneurs, as they make their way. But we're excited, of course, that the LA is seeing a renaissance in infrastructure projects with a sharper focus on equity, especially for communities of color, especially right here in South LA. This is translated into more opportunities for minority-owned businesses, you know, providing goods and services, right? We don't just want to provide goods, right? Goods and services, and to be a part of this changing cityscape that is so important. You know, City 9 has seen an exciting investment in a number of projects, including the Bank of California Stadium, an Expo Park, the renovation of the Coliseum, right? Also an Expo Park, and the soon to be completed Lucas Museum, you know, the largest single philanthropic project, I think, in our country. Reference was made to the Rail to River project right here along Slauson, right? It's going to start in Hyde Park, come through the 9th District, and end at the river. So we're really excited. It's going to be a very innovative walking bike path, you know, taking out a rail line that some of us who've been around for a while know has been vacant for what, almost 40, 50 years. How you have a resource like that just sitting vacant? Well, we're excited that it's being transformed as we speak. In fact, not far from here, CD9 is creating a park, a park to provide assistance. It's going to be a linear park between Normandy and Butlawn, Slauson Connect, we're calling it. It's going to be a real learning educational center we're real excited about. A little further down on Slauson at Figueroa, we're creating a new park, Bill Green Park, right? And of course, a little further down is the park, the Wetlands Park that we've created for Congressman Gus Hawkins. But, and of course, in our city in 2028, it's going to be the Olympics. the Olympics. And so again, an exciting opportunity for small businesses, minority businesses, entrepreneurs, and we're hopeful and we are committed to making sure that they take a part of this as well. You know, as we continue our recovery from this pandemic, we have to focus on supporting our communities that have been disproportionately impacted. You know, you just can't divide stuff by 15, and the mayor knows this very well. We have to provide some special assistance in those areas that have been neglected and those are in need. That's why today's announcement is critical in pushing this local momentum of economic development forward. It's critical. And so it's, of course, an opportunity for us to create new and lasting friendships. It's important that Curren is here from EWDD. She has been a real strong advocate, supporter for small businesses. And she understands equity. Yeah, that's right. Joe and I know what that means. You know, South LA hasn't been getting anything extra. We're just getting what we should be getting in the first place. But she makes sure that happens. But the partnerships that we celebrate today are made stronger, and South LA is made stronger when that occurs. I'm excited about the additional assistance our small business community and our entrepreneurs are going to be receiving, both from the SBA and from Operation Hope. You know, another legacy organization. And just think, 1 million black businesses. That's got a nice little ring to it, doesn't it? Well, it certainly is music to my ears. Anyway, I'd like to do a special thank you to Administrator Guzman, John, Bryant, and Joe for your collective commitment to our small businesses and our entrepreneurs. The folks that are going to benefit and who we're going to be serving, we're going to be reflecting our collective efforts to create a more vibrant business community for all of our neighborhoods, for all of our communities, and that's so very important. As the chair of the Council Economic Development and Jobs Committee, I look forward to complementing these efforts at the local level, and I welcome the additional tools for our communities to move forward that this project represents. And so, you know, we've got a saying at our Business Resource Center on Central Avenue. It's emblazoned on the wall. The new ninth is open for business, but not business as usual. And so, with that, I just want to say thank you for your support today. Thank you for your participation. Thanks for your encouragement and your collaboration. Let's just get down to business. Thank you.
All right, who took all my notes? All right, well, I'm gonna have to add that. I think Curren done ripped me off of my notes. Let me see, Jeff. That was a kleptomaniac in his previous life.
And all those failed, you use mine.
Oh, I'm glad we're family.
We work together.
All right. Now, he is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Operation Hope, which is the largest nonprofit and best in-class provider of financial literacy, financial inclusion, economic empowerment tools in the U.S. for youth and adults. We're here today to hear from him and Administrator Guzman, but at this point, I'd like to invite up my friend, John Hope Bryant.
Isn't Joe cool? Let's look at him. Just smooth. You're making smart sexy. You've been making dumb sexy for too long. You dumbed down and celebrated. You're making smart sexy again. Coincidence is God's way of remaining a not. First of all, isn't God good? Because it is better to be seen than viewed. There's no guarantee that we're supposed to be here today. So we got to make every moment count. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. It is a coincidence that this is 30 years since the Rodney King riots. And we are all back together again. And I think it's no coincidence that is the authentic people I worked with 30 years ago who did not play games, who are sitting here today making historic change. You never play games. You were always straight. Najee, you've always been there for the community. We're bringing home, I think, one of the best administrators of the Small Business Administration in the history of this country. I've known 10 presidents. We've been recognized by 5. I've served 3 from both parties. But you're the honors broker I go to in this administration. I know when I talk to you, there's no games. It's exactly the way you're going to say is what I'm going to see. And you have been brilliant through this process. And I've trusted you. We all trust you with, I think, a moment in history. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. And to one of the coolest mayors in America. I just like hearing you speak Spanish. I don't care what you say. I really don't. You could be cursing me out. I don't know. It just sounds fantastic. But he has also been real. And your father were there for me 30 years ago when no one paid attention to me. People wrote me off, rolled their eyes. Operation Hope, financial literacy, capitalism, free enterprise. You never did. You were there from the beginning to end. And now we find we're living in social justice through an economic lens. By the way, it's always been this way. It's just now catching up to us, or we're catching up to it. The 18th century was about freedom, the Civil War. The 19th century was about access, the Civil Rights Movement. The 21st century is about opportunity. I call it silver rights, S-I-L-V-E-R. It's not about marching in the streets, it's doing business deals in the business suites. The color's not black or white or red or blue, it's green. By the way, it's always been green. I don't think you're hearing me yet, so I'm used to the black church, I'm used to seek and respond. I'm going to see Reverend Murray this afternoon, just to give me some serious religion. By the way, when I started Operation Hope, it was Tom Bradley who gave me my first 7J grant from the SBA for $61,000. People here, we have a $50 million budget today at Operation Hope. We have $4 billion we've invested in underserved neighborhoods. All great, fantastic. 200 offices, 46 states. But it started with the SBA and with Tom Bradley and a $61,000 grant. The same businesses that Joe's working with today. Everything big started small. But let me make this really personal. I was homeless at La Tejera Airport when I was 18 years old. Lived in my Jeep, in that little parking lot. Some of you know that caddy corner right there. I lived in that parking lot. Dismissed, disregarded, but God don't make dirt. You can't fall from the floor. Rainbows only follow storms. I take no for vitamins. Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. The same thing the SBA and Joe and the mayor and Curren are trying to produce in this neighborhood. Winners, strivers, builders. But it wasn't easy. Mom and dad divorced on Martin Luther King Boulevard, but back then it was called Santa Barbara. Some of y'all too young for that conversation. We own an 8-unit apartment building on Santa Barbara, Martin Luther King. We bought for $18,000. It's worth $6 million today. We lost it. We had a business. We own a gas station in Vernon and Normandy, southeast corner, still there. We lost it. We were smart, but we weren't smart about money. My dad could make it, but couldn't keep it. My dad confused making money with building wealth. Can you understand what I'm saying? You make money during the day, you build wealth at night when you sleep. No one ever gave us this memo on money. It's not like we're not dumb and we're not stupid. When the rules are published and the playing field is level, we succeed. Look at professional sports. Look at the arts. Look at public service. We're killing it. Succeeding, I mean. But entrepreneurship, business, where wealth exists, no one ever gave us this memo. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. Curren, your story is our story. You had hustle. You had knowledge. No one ever taught you how the business was supposed to work. So you did the best you could. What's the result of all this? Because you can say, and you may or may not know it, but I'm responsible for the largest capital access deal for a black person in the last decade. $200 million credit facility, my for-profit business, I signed it in December, $200 million. But no one would give me $20,000 when I was 26 years old trying to start Operation Hope in 1992. But I had people who believed in me, thank God, who gave me those tools. All Operation Hope is today is an institutionalization of the mentorship I got when I was a young person. We need this at scale. Am I talking to myself? Success is not an accident. It's not. It's a habit. It's a structure. Here's real talk. 85% of small business wealth in this country are owned by Caucasians. I'm not mad at that. They got the memo. We didn't. I think it was denied of us. That's a whole nother press conference for another day. But whatever it is, here's what I know. We've been doing so much with so little for so long, we'd almost do anything with nothing. Over the round and through it, we get to it. If you just give us the memo and the business plan and a little support, we rise. Here's the facts of it. In the last 2 years, during the pandemic, the largest group of small business creation have been black businesses. Let me go deeper. Within that group and within all groups, the largest group creating small businesses in America are black women. But we have a problem also, because 96% of all black businesses don't have an employee. How did I tell you build wealth? Compounding at night. You need scale. Otherwise, it's just a self-employment project. Are you with me? Most of us are not on e-commerce. What do I mean by that in English? I'm coming in last night from Nashville, I think it was. I get confused. I'm every city a day. I'm trying to get a haircut. Yes, a haircut. So what do in our neighborhood? Pick the phone, call a barber. Hey, yo, man, I'm cutting the hair. I let me look at my book. I'll get back to you. Maybe he calls back. Maybe he doesn't. What happens? He just lost a sale. You with me? Because I'm moving on to something else. I like the guy. I need my haircut. So what does he need? I'm on the plane at midnight. I need to go online, go to Joe's Barbershop e-commerce site, book an appointment. This is real talk now. Book an appointment at 2 in the morning, put my credit card in, make an appointment. If I cancel, he gets paid. Can I get an amen? While I'm on the website, because he's got me now I see I want a wave cap. Yes, a wave cap. Now I want a brush. Now I want a, there's a wave, do-rag. Who said that? Who knows what a do-rag is? Now I want some hair oil. You see what I'm saying? That guy, he sleep. But while he sleep, I just booked, $190, $210 worth of product. He's gonna mail order, drop ship most of that. I get busy the next morning, can't make the appointment, he still got paid. You have an restaurant, why don't you have an e-restaurant doing deliveries? You got a nail salon, why can't you have a e-nail salon? This is not just about new black businesses, it's about a parallel to your existing black business. Can I get an amen? If you don't have technology at the center of everything you do right now, please listen to me. You are not growing. You need technology at the center of your church, your nonprofit, your for-profit, your small business, I don't care what it is, your political office. So we are going to give you the tools to succeed. Let me tell you what a dreamer does, and then I'm done. You never want to be the old guy in the club. I didn't look at you. But before y'all kick me out, I'm going to leave. Just drop the mic and walk off the stage. Because I want you to hear from the administrator and the leader of small business. Listen to me now. The Bible says that it suggests that a prophet is only without honor in his own hometown. We don't appreciate sometimes folks in our own backyard. The fact that the mayor leads an economy the metropolitan economy is the third largest in the world. in the world. In the world. And he has done nothing but honor that. She leads the small business for the largest economy in the world. A woman of color from Los Angeles. And Joe's just good looking. And you. So let me tell you what dreamers do, and I'm done. I was doing, during the pandemic, I was doing a podcast with the founder of Shopify, which is second largest e-commerce company in the world. And he, at the end of the podcast, this is after George Floyd, good man, Toby is his name, Toby with an I. What can I do? Now, I could have said, give me a loan. Give me a grant. That's what a lot of, give me something. Give me, or let me help two businesses, or let me hook up my family. No, it's not about me, this is about we. It's all about dreaming big dreams also. You can't, dreams, Dr. King didn't go to the mall and said, I have a dream that GDP will grow by 2% a year. He had a dream for all of us. So I said to him, help me create 1 million black businesses. Crickets. He said, send me a note. Send him a note. Heard nothing for a week. I said, well, maybe that didn't go so well. Then I called him. I said, I'm sorry about that, but we're going to do something else. He said, no. I said yes. I went to my email, digital. It went to my spam folder. True story. That's $130 million miss that I would have missed had I not called him. First of all, I had not asked. Hello. But then not followed up, because I believe in the James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door, I'll get it myself. Are we having church yet? So this is free to you. Hello? Because Shopify put up $130 million over 10 years, the third reconstruction, I call it, to create 1 million new black businesses in America. Inspired by this, you have no licensing fees. You got no website fees. You got no domain fees. You got no cost for payment systems. You got no cost for fulfillment systems. Is this not impressing you? You got no cost for small business training. You got no cost to get your credit score up. And nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. What's wrong with this audience? That's real talk. We're moving credit scores 54 points in 6 months, 120 points in 24 months, reducing your debt $1,000, increasing your savings $2,000, making it so the bank says yes to you. You combine that with the SBA guaranteeing loans and doing small business support. You combine that with support wraparound services from the mayor's office, and what Joe's doing. You combine that with the technology on-ramp I just talked to you about, and the small business training, and the business plans we're going to provide on the front end. And then we got lawyers in the back end that said, I'll give you 2 hours of free consulting. Accountants, I'll give you 2 hours of free consulting. And then we got 2 hours of marketing support, 2 hours of PR support. And then I asked these people, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because you feel sorry for us? No, we want them as customers. Those lawyers believe in you. These IT firms believe in you. Do we believe in us? Are you hearing me? This moment is not coming back. It's not. It's not. $25,000 in services. They're yours. Don't walk past it. I know you don't believe it if it's free. Believe it this time. It costs you nothing but your time. They're not here for their health. They're here because they believe in you. And this country needs you. So as somebody who is homeless not so far from here, as somebody who everybody called out and wrote off and said would never be successful, all I say is, how you like me now?
So sorry, Administrator, that concludes our program. And And I got to come back up here after that. John, thank you. Thank you. We needed to hear that. There's one thing that John said, and before I bring the administrator up, and I'm going to do it very quickly, I spoke to a banker just a few weeks ago who had selected or formed the opinion that Vermont Slauson was getting away from supporting small businesses because we had shifted our focus in technology. I said, damn, we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. We got to educate bankers that technology is part of the economy, and these young people, if they don't have these tools, are going to be lost. They're going to be in that same parking lot that John was talking about if we don't do something about it. So, John, the technology, we got to make sure every conversation we're having about economic development has technology included. That's why Vermont Slauson, Best Buy, Annenberg, and AT&T have put millions of dollars into technology at our center in 61st and Western. So thanks again, John. All right, now, I know y'all came here to hear John and the mayor and Curren, but guess what? We got the closing act. Now it's time to hear from our SBA administrator, Isabel Guzman, about the $1 million Black Business by 2030 program. She and I have never had a chance to work together, but I sense we will. I do want to say before you take the podium, Vermont Slauson is extremely grateful, and for you in the audience to hear it first, that yesterday we became an SBA Prime Grant recipient. So thank you so much. Please help me welcome the 27th Administrator in the United States of America under the Biden administration, Isabel Guzman.
That's great. Well, and John and I have spent some time together in Atlanta, and I had to follow him in Atlanta too. So I'm getting used to this, but he brings the energy and excitement to I can deliver what the SBA really is all about. And the SBA is about delivering the promise of the American dream of business ownership to more Americans. And the bottom line, that's what it is, because we know that it builds wealth for families and generations. And President Biden is really committed, as you've heard him speak, about the fact that he wants to ensure that we can build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. That's what a startup is. It's about making sure that we can have a level playing field for all of our small businesses, for families, so that they can pursue those opportunities. And so President Biden, of course, over the last 18 months has made enormous strides to rebuild our economy. Thanks to his leadership in the American Rescue Plan, our businesses reopened, our schools reopened, our kids are back to school. We saw 10 million jobs created and had the global leadership in recovering our economy from the COVID pandemic. And now the president is focused on making sure that we can achieve a sustainable, stable economy. And clearly all his focus is on making sure that we're investing for some immediate relief for Americans as well as in our future. As he knows the future is full of hope and opportunity if we invest in Americans. And that's exactly what we're doing with some of the historic legislative accomplishments that we've seen come out recently, which I'd love to talk about from the small business angle. Because the president really wants to make sure, and especially when we're talking about access to the economy, that entrepreneurship is a pathway that is inclusive, especially knowing that when we look at the last 10 years, the face of entrepreneurship has changed. And women and people of color, as you've heard other speakers say, are the ones leading that change, leading entrepreneurship rates. Whether it's from necessity or opportunity, the fact is that Black women and brown women have been starting those businesses, and we will rely on them to ensure that our economy can be globally competitive. And whether it's going to be building that infrastructure with the historic investments in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or if it's going to be being a part of the manufacturing of the future, advanced manufacturing, or creating the supply chains, or innovating through the Chips and Science Act, where again we want to regain America's leadership across industries of innovation. And then most recently, of course, through the Inflation Reduction Act, making sure that, of course, that we can control for inflation by checking inflation, paying down the federal debt to do so, and lowering costs for families around health care and prescription drugs and energy costs. But in addition, making critical investments so that we can grow our clean energy economy. And for communities that are impacted by climate change in particular, and impacted by climate injustices, these investments will really go far to making sure that we can be a part of the solutions as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, and pave the way towards more jobs and more opportunities for business growth into the future. The president has been made it crystal clear across his cabinet that we all need to work collectively to equity. On day one, he signed an executive order detailing his commitment to racial equity and ensuring that all parts of the federal government would be leveraged to advance equity and inclusion in this country, to ensure that we can solve for some of the large opportunity gaps that exist. Morgan Stanley did a study and found that there's a $4.4 trillion opportunity gap in our economy because they know that women and businesses owned by people of color don't achieve the same level of revenues or the same level of job creation as white-owned businesses because they are underinvested in. And that is exactly what the SBA does. The SBA tries to fund businesses or get our private partners to yes more easily so that our businesses can succeed. We've seen historic gaps that we came in having to rectify, and we've already heard some of those statistics before from Mayor Garcetti, but the SBA recognizes that within its own program, lending on the small dollar front has declined over the past 5 years. Further, that we've seen across the board that small businesses owned by people of color are not able to access capital at the same rates. Only 44% of small businesses get capital through a bank, period, let alone for people of color. Black businesses, 2/3 of black businesses do not get their loans from the bank. And so they're either pursuing credit cards or families, family loans, if that's even available because of the historic gaps in wealth creation, or they're just going without, which just means that they're not growing their business. And so that's why we're so glad to gather here today. And I just want to thank the partners that are with me, that are standing with me. And VSEDC is now going to be one of the great SBA partners around the table. But, Mr. Hassan, it's going to be a real pleasure to work with you because this is the kind of community that exactly President Biden was thinking of when he saw the inequities in COVID relief and people not getting their fair shot at opportunity to regain and recover during the pandemic. And so empowering and widening our distribution network through the VSEDC will be really critical. And working with cities like that led by my dear friend, Mayor Garcetti, is why we're here at the table. Mayor Garcetti has done some transformative policies when it comes to small businesses, focusing on racial equity and gender equity across not only his leadership, but across contracting within the city of Los Angeles and across its entrepreneurship programs. And so this is the great city to launch a program like this, just because we know that there's the foundation built by Mayor Garcetti and his team to support inclusive entrepreneurship to lead the city and then this country into the future. And then, of course, the reason why I'm so proud to be an Angelino and Councilman Price, I'm really proud to be here in your district in particular, is because there's vibrancy everywhere you go and such great historic pride and value in communities and neighborhoods. And that's what small businesses are about. They are about serving their neighbors. They are about creating the products and services that our communities depend on. And you see that every day in your neighborhood, Councilman. And I really respect your commitment to economic justice and making sure that there's paths forward to opportunities. And then, of course, to my dear friend, Chairman John Hope Bryant, we decided to embark on this partnership about building hope through entrepreneurship, because we really jointly view that financial empowerment and a pathway to build your own success is one that is increasingly being taken by our communities, but that is faced with barriers without empowerment. And we basically want to empower our entrepreneurs. You know, I saw firsthand during pandemic relief that our own businesses were even hesitant to take a forgivable loan through Paycheck Protection Program. I spoke with an incredible janitorial services that's owned by a Black woman who was scared to take that forgivable loan because she does not like debt. Finally, she was convinced to do it because it was justified, and it was her right to take that, along with the SBA COVID EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And as a result, she stopped using factoring to deliver against her job. She paid down some debt. She's now looking to an SBA loan to buy a building. And so that sort of transformation, when you change your viewpoint on what capital can do to grow your business, is what we're seeking. We want to make sure that small businesses are financial ready. They know the rules of the game, that know-how that can get you to yes in financing, and that they have the strategic plan to then get to revenue growth. Because ultimately the SBA is about starting businesses, helping them grow, and helping them build resilience to ensure that they can sustain and build wealth for communities into the future. Within our programs, I've asked my team to focus on specifically being more customer-centric, which forces us to recognize who the entrepreneurs are that we're serving. And it is businesses like yourself at an increasing rate. We need to meet our businesses where they are with products and services that relate to what you've been faced with over the last couple years and the challenges that you've been faced with. And so we've transformed our programs within Capital, rolling out new programs that are more flexible so that businesses and lenders can do a better job of getting capital into the hands of more small businesses like yourselves. And as well, though, looking at the revenue side of the equation, we know that it's not enough just to make sure you get the capital, but that you can perform in the marketplace and expand. There's a $560 billion opportunity in federal contracting, and we've seen a decline in the number of small businesses wanting to do business with the federal government, the largest buyer in the world. We literally buy everything from flowers to vaccines, and we want to make sure that we can inspire a new industrial base that can serve agencies and help them achieve their missions. In addition, there is a $768 billion potential online on e-commerce. And the SBA has launched the Small Business Digital Alliance and our partnership with Operation Hope to make sure that your business can be part of the digital trends of the future and that you can grow your revenues online. And not only that within your marketplace, but grow globally. Because once you put up that website, you are trading potentially to the world, and we want to make sure we empower you to become that exporter and sell to countries and consumers around the world. 95% of the world's consumers are outside of the United States, and we need to make sure that our small businesses are taking advantage of that. And the last thing is really about networks. President Biden personally spoke to me about this the very first time we met, and that was a concern that the small business owner that didn't have that lawyer or that accountant or banker on speed dial was left out of those early rounds of relief. And he actually spoke with small business owners who relayed their problems in trying to get a PPP. And so we launched through the American Rescue Plan a community navigator pilot program, with the point being to expand our already 1,600 centers around the country and focus in communities where we needed to build bridges, build trust, and build relationships, which is what inspires our prime grant to VSEDC, is ensuring that we can come with our full support of the federal government into local communities and to trusted advisors to help you grow your business. And that, with the building entrepreneurship, and Building Hope Through Entrepreneurship launch that we're going to do around the country, we will be bringing the tools and resources that you need to grow your businesses. And that's the commitment of the Biden-Harris administration, is to make sure that not only do we pass these historic legislations or that we make policy changes, but that we actually give the know-how to the Americans who need to make sure that they can take advantage and leverage the opportunities that we're investing in. So with that, I know that we are going to be launching a multi-city tour starting right here in Los Angeles and focused on building 1 million Black businesses, as well as women and veterans and people of color across the spectrum, to make sure that we are empowering the future competitive economy of America that can leverage its diversity, be proud of its diversity as a strength, so that we can ensure that our economy grows and works for everyone collectively. So thank you so much for joining here today and for making sure that you're part of the solutions for tomorrow and growing our economy.
What is this? The Bible suggests be hot or be cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God doesn't like mediocrity. Hold on. Wait a minute. Now, she's got to be appropriate. She's a member of the president's cabinet. She's got to be, cool. Wait a minute. No, hold on. Never since Congressman Lucille Roybal Allard gave me $1 million, has a Latino in government partnered with a Black in community to help our community. She didn't say I had to do a Latino initiative. I want to. When I came in with 1 million Black businesses, she just said yes. Now, let me say, all this thing we heard about, it does not happen. It does not work without the apparatus and the infrastructure of the U.S. federal government. The fact that she said yes, the fact that the government is taking this initiative from the community, raising it up, plugging it into the national government infrastructure, means we have a shot to actually make this dream real. Last point, 3 million Black businesses in this country. What is this? The 1 million Black business initiative. You're talking about a third of all Black businesses being created under her leadership. Can we give her a proper thank you?
Thank you very much, Governor.
All right, we're just about there. I do have to make some quick acknowledgments, and then we do have lunch for you to be served. But I never want to have an opportunity to have a microphone where I don't give due to the person that, for Vermont Slauson, made this happen, and that's Marva Smith Battle Bay, who is the reason why I'm here. When she passed away in 2016, I had just announced my retirement from the city, and I was asked to come on for a couple of years. I'm in my 6th of a couple of years, but I do want to give homage to Marva. She started this some 41 years ago, and we've been able just to build and build and build on what she teed up for us. I also want to recognize, if you can, when you go have lunch, you can't see it here, this building, if you came to it 5.5, 6 years ago, you said, well, where is the building? He said, right before you get to the grocery store, there's a driveway. Pull in the driveway. What's this? Is there a sign? Nothing. And I went to my friend, Brian Grant, at City National Bank. We had one bank that we were working with at the time. We have 22 now, but this is the first bank that stepped up, gave Vermont Slauson a $50,000 grant to brand this building and to start our marketing campaign. Because people thought Vermont Slauson had died with Marva. Marva's legacy lives, and it's because of the then 8 people, but now 32 people who are employed at Vermont Slauson, all of which I'd like to acknowledge now. Vermont Slauson in the house, where are you? So everybody can see who you are. Take care of God. And just the last couple of things. There's a brother here, his name is Victor Parker. And this is a guy who doesn't take average for granted. The Shuttered venue grant, you might remember that call. We had a client that was severely impacted by the Shuttered venue grant. But because the language was written a certain way, they were excluded. I brought this challenge to this brother right here, Victor Parker, and I won't say the amount, but that business is thriving today. They also produced the Long Beach Jazz Festival, the San Diego Jazz Festival. They didn't have a brick and mortar, but that was part of the requirement at that time of the interpretation. We were able to get them a significant grant because you pushed that and was able to help that business. So thank you, Victor. And lastly, as I close, is collaboration. The PPP and the administrator, I just want you to know, as much as we appreciate PPP, initially the PPP program did not help our businesses. You hear what I'm saying? It did not help our businesses. We had 88 businesses apply for the PPP program. 4 were funded. 4. We had a lot of problems. Banks were creaming applications, taking who they wanted. Ruth Chris, the LA Lakers, Shake Shack. Not our small businesses that we're most concerned about. So what did I do? I reached out to that sister there, Colette Moore at PCR, and please extend my thanks to Mark Robertson, the president and CEO of PCR Pacific Coast Regional, and my other friend and colleague, Gary Perez at the USC Credit Union, who had just become a CDFI. And I asked them, we'll do all the technical assistance. We're not going to do the loans. We would have liked to get that 5% on every loan, but we took one for the team. And guess what? Second round, we had our clients ready. We had 42 businesses that were funded for $2.4 million in that second round because of collaboration. This is what we have to do. We got to collaborate. That's why I want PCR here. I want Urban League here. I want GLAC here. I want Community Build, Community Coalition. We're in this together. So this is not just about PCR or Vermont Slauson or Lindustry or LIST or any. It's about us together.
That's right.
So we got to do this together. And in closing, I make a big mistake if I didn't acknowledge my daytime boss. My nighttime boss, I'll see you at 5:30. But my daytime boss is our board chairwoman. Many of you know, if you don't, Ms. Keisha Washington. And I acknowledge my team, but I do have to give a special acknowledgement. This woman is just miraculous. You give her something in a minute's notice, and she's gonna pull the team together, and she's gonna get it done. And I want her to step up with me. Libby Williams, the Executive Vice President of Vermont Slauson. Come up here, Libby. Come on. You got that pretty yellow, black, white outfit on. You got to show it, girl. We pulled this together in about 2.5 weeks, Victor? And we just scurried together, and all I have to do is say, Libby, we need to get this done. She rallies the troops. We all shift gears. We do whatever it takes. It's because they entrusted to her, and she gets the job done. So thank you. Well, come on, Lance. Well, I'm gonna tell you. Well, Lance is probably. Let me tell you. You don't even know this, John. Lance's wife, Deborah, gave my oldest daughter her first job at the age of 16. Her first job, and now she's the first black woman that ever produced the Academy Awards today. So that was the first job. And he and I also share lineage because his dad and I also they worked together on LAPD. But Lance, you want to say hello? Just say hello, man. All right. All right, let's eat, let's drink. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're so appreciative of your presence.